Hello, my name is Mooing Cat and welcome to the first week of my brand new adventure on the brand new world where, for those who haven't seen it yet, my plan is to get oceanic future units and other higher age units while being in the industrial age. That's my long-term plan. It will take quite a long time, so each week I will make videos like this, recapping my week's progress, going through all the important things or major things I've done, also going through all the continent map fights I've done. So in this video you will see all the fights I've done. They will be sped up because if not this will be a very long video, but I also plan on uploading separate videos with only the fights on the continent map, so you can see how I fight every single sector that I do fight. But yeah, that will come hopefully in the next couple of days. I still need to figure out exactly how I want to do that, because I don't want to spam my channel with videos on it, so I will probably do something like one video per age perhaps. So one for, probably not, perhaps one for Bronze Age, one for Iron Age, one for EMA and so on. So I'll have to see how that goes, so stay tuned for that. But in this video, my plan is to go through each of the 7 first days, show my progress, show my fights on the continent map. So let's start with day number 1. This one I'm not going to go too detailed into because a lot of it is already on my channel with my live stream that I did on day 1. I started off quite late in the day, started off after work, so work was already quite a few hours old when I started, but that was fine. So I started, and the first 3-4 hours it was all about starting the city, completing the tutorial, making a layout, setting up a standard layout to produce some resources, produce some coins, supplies and so on. And also the standard 2, or at least I believe it is standard, the standard 2 spear fighter barracks early on. 8 spear fighters are really nice to fight with, really quick and cheap to produce, so that's the main source of, of fighting early on. So with those, I basically fought my way through all the first 4 Bronze Age, or first 4 sectors. I believe one of them is Iron Age. But I also left one sector. I left I forget what it's called, but I did leave one sector, and this is something I go into in my intro to this series, in my previous video. And the reason I did that was so that later on in the story quests, in Oceanic Future for example, when those quests asks me to infiltrate the sector or win some sectors, I'm able to do that much cheaper early on than I would with the sectors in Oceanic Future, for example. So that's my goal with trying to leave as many optional continent map fights from earlier ages. So yeah, I did leave one sector though. As you'll see later on, I did actually end up taking it. But yeah, day 1, again, all about building up the city, getting some friends first of all, and then also joining a guild. I didn't do a lot of guild hopping. I did some guild hopping where I jumped from guild to guild and motivated all. But when I joined the guild, there wasn't really a lot of other guilds around to do that with. So I did some, got some coins that way. And as most people know, aiding is a really big source of coins early on in the game. So that's really important. So yeah, I joined the guild, got some friends. And also towards the end of the day, I unlocked and placed the blacksmiths, which you also get for unlocking the technology for guilds. So yeah, I placed a bunch of those. And my goal with these blacksmiths is to run them on 24-hour productions for recurring quests. So I'm not planning on getting any Iron Age goods buildings. What I'm planning to do is to get some goods through recurring quests until I go to up to the Iron Age, and then when I reach Iron Age I will try to rely on trading, because yeah, you don't need a lot of Bronze Age goods, so hopefully that should be enough. So yeah, that's pretty much it for day 1. Again, if you want to see some more details about it, go check out my stream. The VOD is on my channel. You can skip through that and see kind of my progress the first 3 hours. Anyways, day number 2, I put on my blacksmiths on 24-hour productions, first thing in the morning. And then I also got the Oracle. The Oracle is one of the first buildings you get. You get the blueprints from the storyline, for those not aware. So I placed it, and then I actually deleted it immediately, because well, when you place it, you get 20 forge points as a reward, and then the next quest is to add 20 forge points to a great building, with the idea that you add those to the oracle. But you don't actually have to add it to the oracle, so I decided not to. I deleted it and spent those forge points on the technologies. Now, before you reach Iron Age, you're actually not able to add to other people's great buildings, so that means that I am blocked for the moment on the story quest, but that's not a big deal because I will be blocked later on anyways, so no need to rush through that. So I would rather have those 20 forge points for technologies than spending them on a great building I would delete anyways later on. So yeah, with those forge points, I unlocked the tavern quite early on, I believe. So I was able to sit in other people's tavern, people could visit me, and that way I was able to slowly work my way on building that up. Now, I don't really think it would be too interesting to see a lot from that, so for the rest of this video and in general in these videos, I'm not going to show my progress on the tavern. Just assume in the background I am collecting, I am visiting, and so on, and you'll see from time to time that the number of chairs increase, number of my tablecloths and so on, they increase. So I'm not going to show that in these videos, but just know that I am doing that. Anyways, on the continent map on day 2, I continued doing 2 fights with spear fighters in the Iron Age maps, the Paruuch province. I did 2 sectors there, and after that I was stuck, basically. I couldn't really do much more, so I figured at this point I can't really do much more. I could have negotiated them if I wanted to, and you'll actually see that I do actually negotiate these 2 sectors, but yeah, basically I was stuck. I couldn't go further here, so my plan now was to move on to the Iron Age. So yeah, the last thing I did on day 2 was to get a few more blacksmiths that I planned to sync up with the other blacksmith the next day. So yeah, day 3 in the morning I collected, completed some recurring quests, and I completed all the 24-hour blacksmith quests, and I'm really happy I did. I got some really nice rewards. I got 5 forge points, which is the main reward I want to get. I also got 3 blueprints for the Tower of Babel, which I'm not planning on getting it, so that wasn't the greatest, but it is what it is. And then I also got 5 marble and 5 lumber. So all in all, some very nice rewards for that, and that's why I like to do 24-hour productions in these. They're very small, so you can do a lot, and also you're not really short on supplies often this early on, so I would rather rely on other sources for supplies, such as quest rewards and so on. Alright, now when I had collected them, I put them back on 8 hours, because I didn't really want to have the 24-hour collection in the morning. So I put them on 8 hours so that I could put them on after work, which was a more convenient time for me to have the 24-hour collection. So yeah, I also did quite a lot of aiding. That's very important, of course. So each day you want to aid, and while aiding you want to do recurring quests as well. So yeah, you get a lot of coins this way, and with the recurring quests you also get other rewards as well. And on day 3, which was Wednesday, October the 13th, the console system was added to the live servers. So that was added. I couldn't really do much with it day 1, but yeah, nice that that was added. And I could work on that in the upcoming days. So yeah, I did place metal expansion, and throughout the upcoming days I am adding quite a few metal expansions, so if you see an expansion appear out of nowhere, it's probably a metal one. The metal production early on is not that great, but through things like incidents actually, and also some other things like great buildings, recurring quest rewards and so on, you do get some medals from time to time, and the expansions early on are very, very cheap, so I get a couple of expansions that way. And yeah, no fighting on the continent map today. I'm waiting until I unlock these soldiers, which I should do tomorrow, day 4. So yeah, no fighting. And one thing I mentioned in the in my introduction video to this series is that I plan to, or that scouting all the sectors I need to take or all the provinces, will take around 9 months in pure scouting times, but I do expect that quite often I'm not able to scout 24/7, so I think something like, I don't know, a year might be a better estimate, but I'm not sure how accurate that is either. But there we see an example of a day without any scouting. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind, and especially early on when scouting times are so low, and I have limited number of units. Fighting 24/7 isn't possible, so a lot of waiting early on. But hopefully, once I get a little bit higher up, when scouting takes longer, I will hopefully be more ready when the scout is done to be able to take the province right away. But that'll be interesting to see how that works later on. Anyways, yeah, I'm still in Bronze Age, so I'm adding all my forge points to technologies. Don't have the possibility to add to great buildings yet. So, day 4 comes along. Morning, I do some more collection. I also prepare for Iron Age, but I don't move up immediately. And there are 2 reasons for that. First of all, it was the morning and I was going to work, so I didn't really have the time to fully play after I aged up if I did it then. And also I wanted another run of my 24-hour productions in the blacksmiths for recurring quests. And it's a really good thing I did, because I got 25 goods later on in the day when I got back from work. So that was really, really nice. So yeah, after I was done that, collecting the 24-hour productions, I finally moved up to the Iron Age. I got some goods and some soldiers from the quests, rewards, the story quest, but yeah, that was not enough to fight immediately, so I got started doing a city rebuild. I unlocked the roof tile houses and replaced blacksmiths and Bronze Age houses with soldiers and these new Iron Age houses. Moving up to Iron Age, I also unlocked the first daily challenge, and the first one I got was 30 guaranteed forge points, which is really good early on. But in order to get that, I needed to negotiate 1 sector, collect 1.3 thousand supplies, win 8 battles, and solve a simple negotiation. Now, most of these are fairly simple. Negotiating 1 sector, I could do some cheap ones, and I did do that, as you'll see in a moment. Collecting the supplies, no issue. The negotiation was simple enough. I got some help doing some trades with my guild, so that was simple enough. But the most difficult part was winning 8 battles, because at this point, pretty much the only way I could fight was on the continent map. So that meant I needed 8 sectors I could fight. So through the day, we'll see how easy that was. But starting with the first one, I negotiated Paruuch Sector 3 and 4. I probably could have fought one of them, but I wanted to get it out of the way so that I could prepare scouting for the next 2 sectors. So yeah, then throughout the evening I continued on my city rebuild, replacing Bronze Age houses with Iron Age houses and soldiers, so that I could slowly work on getting enough soldiers to actually fight a lot on the continent map. So I also did a bunch of aiding. That's something I will do each day going forward, so from now on I'm probably not going to be mentioning it, but again, aid your neighbors while working on the recurring quest as well. So yeah, one less good thing about reaching Iron Age now is that the guild expedition was actually locked. I couldn't join it because I hadn't reached Iron Age when the guild expedition started. So that sucked, but that's kind of expected. And I also thought that would apply to guild battlegrounds, but as I will learn later on in the week, I can actually start doing that now when I reach the military tactic technology. So you can actually do that now. I started that immediately, which I didn't know. If I knew, I probably would have focused a little bit harder on getting to that technology quicker, but I didn't know at the time. Anyways, a little bit later on, I realized I had 2 more expansions. I'm in general not that great at remembering to place those expansions. so yeah, a little bit later I placed those as well, got some more houses, got some more barracks, and I also got the tavern cultural building. I'm not aiming for enthusiasm, but I don't want the production to be cut in half. So yeah, I don't want to keep my population unhappy, but I'm not too worried about getting enthusiasm, so somewhere in the middle there. While I was rebuilding, I got two spare fighter barracks, and with those I was able to fight my way through the first two sectors of Ruug, the new Iron Age sector province I just scouted. Here I'm doing very well with the spare fighters against horses. That's quite natural. Light units are really good against the fast units. And then actually it also worked surprisingly well against soldiers and archers. So both of these fights I was able to do quite easily, but beyond those I was not able to do more with spears. So I quickly removed those again, or actually not quite yet, but eventually I removed those and focused on recruiting more soldiers. Yeah. Also, while waiting for recruiting soldiers, I also talked to one of my neighbors, asked if I could put some forge points on his Zeus for first place, for break-even, and I was able to do that, so that was great. So I added 10 forge points to his Zeus. I got one forge point, one blueprint back, as well as the 10 forge points. And this also helped towards both a recurring quest and the story quest that I didn't do earlier on. If you recall, I didn't do the Oracle, so now I'm starting to slowly work my way on that. Alright, later on in the day I finally got started fighting with Soldier. First fight was on East-Nagach. I do believe that's a German name, so that's how I'm going to pronounce it. But yeah, anyways. And to be honest, this fight went much better than I expected. I was able to win, only losing 2 units, which, yeah, it seemed like I was underestimating my soldiers. I didn't think it would be that, or that it would have so few losses. So yeah, later on, the next fight was a little bit tougher, but I was able to get away with only losing 3 units. And as you can see here, in the last fight, fighting with attack range in mind is really important. In fact, I'll probably do a separate video going more into detail about that when I get time for it, but I'm not sure when that will be. In general, about how to fight early on manually. Anyways, after that I completed the daily challenge by doing the negotiation, and I went against my advice or my plan from my initial video. I used 8 spare fighters to fight the 4 sectors that I left from the Tyr province. So the province I originally intended to save for later on, I decided that the 30 forge points early on would be more helpful than saving some coins later on down the road. So I'm not sure if it was the right decision. I do think it was. I'm still standing by it, but yeah, that's something I decided to do. I could have saved those sectors, but I decided to do them for the fights so that I could get those 30 forge points. And that also meant that I got some more progress towards the castle system, which is quite nice early on, so that I could have can unlock that, get some rewards from that early on as well. With the 30 forge points, I added 15 to a great building of a friend. This meant that I could also continue on the story quest, so I did a few of those until I was stuck on another story quest that required me to research a military technology. So yeah, at the same time I also got the Jester side quest line. For those who don't know, initially you pay some coins to him, and in the process you lose a little bit of coins, but eventually the final quest you get some diamonds in return. So always do the Jester quest line. I got 40 diamonds, which might not be that much, but it's definitely nice to have. And also I got another side quest that gave me 10 forge points by adding one friend, sending one friend request. That was very nice. So yeah, I also aborted quite a few side quests requiring specific technologies to be researched, which, yeah, I generally don't tend to do those. It's better to have the recurring quest, in my opinion. So yeah, and then I spent forge points for the goat farm. Now looking back, I don't think that was necessary. Probably would have been better to go for archers immediately, but I thought I needed the supplies, so I added for that. Though I didn't unlock it immediately, I wanted to do 2 technologies at the same time for a recurring quest. And also it was late in the evening, so I wouldn't really have time to build them anyways. So yeah, that was the last thing I did on day 4, so let's move on to day number 5. Day number 5 started out with collecting a lot of units, so that meant I was ready to fight, but I made quite a bad miscalculation, so I lost 5 units immediately, which meant more waiting, and it really made me realize I really needed the archers to be competitive to be able to fight. So when I got home from work, I immediately unlocked the archers with some of the saved up forge points from adding to great buildings. And that meant I could do some more story quests because I unlocked the military technology. And I also got some forge points from recurring quests while doing it, which was nice. So yeah, after collecting, I added some archer barracks, which was really necessary for fighting, as you will see. So yeah, a little bit later than that again, I also decided to unlock the goods buildings, partly because both of my boosts were on the same technology. So I only needed to unlock one or research one of the optional technologies. So I decided to go for that. I reorganized my city a little bit, and in the end I ended up with 2 goods buildings, 3 archers and 5 soldiers. Alright, now the fighting starts for real. I started with the 3rd sector of East-Nagach, which went actually better than I thought. I only lost 1 unit, but I had lots of wounded units, so again I had to wait a little bit longer. Then later on I did another fight, and here again I also lost 1 unit, which is also very nice. In general, I feel like I expect to take more damage than I am, which is really nice. And in general, it has to do with playing with the ranges. As you can see, you want to try to hit as many enemy units while staying out of the range of as many other enemy units as possible. Alright, a little bit later I finally did the last sector of East-Nagach. This was a little bit tougher, but again, only lost 2 units, so very happy with that. And yeah, after I completed it, I also completed some more story quests, and then I scouted Karchagu for the story quest and also for an expansion there, which should come in handy later on. When that scout was done, I started scouting West-Nagach to the other side, and then I did 2 quick fights on Karchagu with 8 soldiers. The first one, yeah, I lost 3 units, and that's mainly because of the Legionnaires. They are really tough to fight with, and I really thought it would go better because of all the horses in this fight, but the heavy unit really suck for soldiers. Next fight had fewer horses, but it actually went better because no Legionnaires. The other units were soldiers and archers, which are much easier to fight, so yeah. I also did a 3rd fight with 2 archers and 6 soldiers. And this one, I kind of just YOLO'd. I lost 5 units by simply rushing ahead, but it also meant that I reached Castle System level 1, which was really nice. And also, before collecting the reward from that, I also completed the daily challenge, which I believe I forgot to mention. This one was a bit easier than the previous day. I needed to contribute 12 forge points to Great Buildings, which I did through my guild and some friends. I needed to collect some goods and coins, which was easy enough to do, and I needed to activate 2 tavern boosts, which I used the cheap 4-hour coin boosts for. The reward was 5 military units, and I really wanted the artillery, because they are quite nice to fight with, but I got 5 horses instead, so they were quite useless for me. I haven't used them since, so there's that. Then I collected the castle system, which gives 1 forge point and 5 goods per day at level 1, which is very nice for a new world. It's definitely nothing to be impressed about on an established world, but here on the new world, that's very nice. I collected it right before reset as well, so right again after reset, I collected again and added the forge points to the tech tree. My next research goal from here is unlocking the settlements. At this time I didn't know that I could play GBG if I started that immediately. But even if I knew that, I think I might have gone for the settlement anyways. Because playing these settlements or getting the Yggdrasil, which is my plan, the Viking settlement, getting that is really nice early on in the world. You get a decent amount of attack boost from that early on, so that's my plan. I wanted to unlock these settlements as soon as possible. So then finally, before going to bed, quite an eventful day. I did one more fight on the continent map. I did the 4th Karchagu Sector with 4 archers and 4 soldiers, and that went very well. I was able to juggle with the attack ranges, so I won the battle with no losses. Really happy with that, and it really shows how well you can do when fighting manually. Day number 6 started with the daily challenge, and I got a very complex negotiation. That is 8 goods per attempt, 4 rounds, or in other words, no chance at all. That is not worth the resources. So after that disappointment, I added some more forge points to get to the settlement. I decided not to go for military tactics, as I mentioned, because I thought GBG would be blocked, but that was wrong, so later on you'll see me going for it anyways. I do again think that getting the Yggdrasil early on from the settlements will be very nice as well. So after the morning collection, I continued on the continent map, doing the last Karchagu sector with 8 archers. I was able to win that quite easily with only 1 loss, which meant I could get 1 more expansion. A little bit later, I started on West-Nagach on the continent map and was able to win 3 quick battles. First one, I used 3 + 5 archers and soldiers, and here I only had 1 loss, which I'm quite happy about. Again, I really am underestimating my own units in these fights. The next one, I went 4 + 4 archers and soldiers, a little bit because it's just the units I have. And this one was a little bit tougher, but again, I only lost 1 unit, so I could continue from here as well. Our final fight was 6 soldiers and 2 archers, partly because I didn't have more healed archers. In the end, this fight, I also only lost 1 unit, so in general, some very nice fights here. And again, if this is going too quickly for you, you can slow down the video, or again, I do plan to make some more videos going more into detail, or showing the fights in real time, so yeah. Now, after I was done with those fights, I started a quite big rebuilding progress, slowly swapping out my houses for cottages, in order to get some more population for some more resource productions. I won't go too much into details, but you'll see at the end the state of my city later on in the day, so yeah. Another thing I did at this point was clear out guild members from my friends list. Aiding is really important early on in new worlds, so you don't really want to have guild members in your friends list. You can already aid them from the guild, so yeah, no need to double up in my opinion. Later on, when units had healed a little bit, I continued on the continent map, this time with 8 archers, and in this fight you really see the power of using your attack range. In the end, I lost no units, really happy with that. Now, when it came to the next sector, I still did some range juggling and playing with the range with my archers on the first wave, but after that I just YOLO'd it. I went straight back into the backlines for the artillery units, and then after that I dealt with the legionnaires. Honestly, I thought I would lose more units, but in the end I only lost 3, which I'm really happy about. For the last West-Nagach Sector, I also kind of YOLO'd it, but only lost 2 units this time. I was able to spread my units kind of strategically to make enemies hit healthy units and leave the damaged units, so in general I did quite well in this fight as well. Now, later on, after I had scouted the next province, I did some more story quests. After that, I was quickly able to take all 3 provinces in Maktaba. First one I could do with 8 soldiers. I simply rushed out to get into range of the EMA artillery units, and I'm actually quite happy with only losing 3 units for this fight. I thought it would be more difficult, that I would take more losses, and to be perfectly honest, I wasn't quite sure I would win, but really happy with this. The next fight was much of the same story. I made sure I was out of range of the enemy soldiers, wave 1, then I simply YOLO'd it, trying to reach the enemy artillery. This one, I'm even more surprised I only lost 3 units on, so in general, I tend to underestimate my units, it seems. The final fight, I used the healthy units I had, which were 4 archers and 4 soldiers. This one was definitely the toughest. At times I thought I would lose, but in the end I won with 3 wounded units remaining, and I could continue scouting. The next province, Dunkelwald, had all EMA units, so here I definitely wasn't sure if I'd be able to win, but luckily I was able to win a few at least. First fight I used 8 soldiers against a combo of EMA fast, the mounted archers, fast and then ranged, which are the mounted archers and light units. I lost 5 units in this fight, but in the end I'm quite happy with that. I'm able to recruit them again, so yeah, being able to win against EMA definitely feels nice. A little bit later, when my units had been healed again, I was able to win 2 more sectors. First one I used 8 archers, which might sound surprising against 5 fast units, but I thought I had a good chance of taking as many of those out before the heavy units could reach me. And I was right. In the end I only lost 1 unit, which I'm definitely happy about. The next fight I used 8 soldiers against fast and ranged EMA units, and while it was costly, that went pretty much as expected. My soldiers could deal a lot of damage to both units, but because I couldn't play with the ranges, I would also take a lot of damage in the process. A little bit later, the story quest asked me to infiltrate some sectors of Pfefferberg. I did that, though to be honest I'm not sure that was the best way to do it. The quest would have been auto-completed if I conquered the sector or province. So it might have been better to save those coins and just take the sector, but in the end not that big of a deal. A little bit later I placed the expansion I won earlier, and again I just don't remember placing them immediately. I don't know why. I'll probably get better at that in due course. Anyways. Then, a little bit later, I could finally unlock the settlements. I decided to go for the Vikings, as I mentioned, because yeah, the Yggdrasil is simply an amazing building to have early on. Even at level 1, it gives 6% attack boost, which is really nice when you virtually don't have any attack boosts at all. Because I've already made a series on beating the Viking settlement, and because these videos are long enough already, I won't be showing too much from it in these videos. So just know, in the background, I am working on the settlement, just like I am working on my tavern, just like I am aiding my friends. Those things, don't see it too much and points in adding those or including those in these videos. Because yeah, these are already long enough. And yeah, speaking of forgetting to place expansions, when I reached the settlement I also unlocked 2 of them. So a bit later, when I realized I placed them down, after that I did another thing you should do early on, and that is clearing out inactive friends. So what I did was that I aided from my town hall, which means all the people that are left on my list unaided haven't aided me. So I aided back to day 3 and then removed most people who hadn't aided me since then. Anyways, a little bit later I continued fighting Pfefferberg Sector 1. I again used 8 soldiers against fast and ranged units. This time also lost some units, but only 2 this time, which I'm really happy about. Then for the next sector I went for 8 archers again. And here I was really able to play with the ranges. I did that quite well, so in the end I only lost 1 unit, which was right on the wave 1 early on to the mounted archers, which have 2 guaranteed hits early on. From there I went back to the Dunkelwald Sector province with the aim of finishing that to start the bonus questline. Because yeah, I thought the bonus questline would be quite easy to fight, though you'll see a bit later that they weren't that easy with the units I had. Anyways, I used 8 archers to fight the fight, which might not have been the best option. 8 soldiers might have done better, because I did end up losing 5 units. But yeah, I was able to win anyways, so not that big of a deal. Now the final Dunkelwald fight was really close. I used 8 archers again, and this time I won with only 2 units remaining and one of them really damaged. So this was definitely the closest fight so far, I believe. But yeah, I'm really happy that I completed it, so I'm not too bothered about losing all those units. This is where things get a little bit interesting. I really should have planned more ahead and looked at the bonus quests, because as it turns out, I actually do need to conquer Ruug, the other sector I left early on, for the bonus quest lines. So yeah, saving this province and these sectors wasn't possible after all, so I could have completed it if I wanted to. Anyways, I left completing those for now and instead tried to win some bonus province fights. For those not familiar, the way these units work is that for each one you kill, the others get very powerful attack and defense bonuses. So the strategy is to take all down to low health before you start killing them off. Now I tried this with soldiers, but should have realized I could kill my soldiers with one hit after the retaliation damage they dealt, so yeah. I lost all 8 units and quickly abandoned the idea of doing the bonus quests now, or bonus sectors now, and went back to Pfefferberg. I did another fight with 8 archers here, this time not losing any units, thanks to again playing with the ranges, staying out of ranges of enemy units, while at the same time taking down as many units as possible. Next fight I used 7 archers and a soldier, simply because I only had 7 healthy archers. I won this one quite easily, only losing the soldier, which I was definitely happy with that. I kind of wanted to save the archers more than the soldiers, because at this time I have 3 archer barracks and 5 soldier barracks. So yeah, after that I got a side quest that asked me to infiltrate all Sturmhohen provinces for 6 forge points, and I thought that was worth it. I wasn't going to complete it anytime soon, the province, so I simply infiltrated. Cost me something like 6,000 coins, and for that I got 6 forge points, which is really nice to have early on. And then finally, before going to bed after a really eventful day, this was during the weekend, you might be able to tell, I did one more fight on Ruug with 8 soldiers, which I won quite easily, losing 2 units in the process, which wasn't that big of a deal, because I had a night to recruit and heal my units. Alright, day number 7 started with quite a mix of collections and continent map fights. I got some diamonds from recurring quests, which was nice. The first fight I did was the final Ruug fight. That went quite well with 8 archers, losing only 1 unit in each fight. So yeah, again, you can see how powerful fighting with ranges is. Something that I keep mentioning, but it's really the big trick early on. You need to play with the ranges of the enemy units. And one thing that perhaps I should mention, this is much easier on a browser, but it is also possible on phone. If you press and hold on a specific unit, you won't attack it immediately, but you will see the range of that unit. So that's something you can use to your advantage. After that fight, I went on to try a Sturmhohen fight, which I lost quite badly. That set me back a bit, having to recruit all of those soldiers, but it is what it is. I was still able to continue with one more fight on Greifental. That went quite alright. I lost 3 archers in total, which isn't ideal, but it's perfectly fine now that the fights are getting a little bit tougher. So yeah, but with those losses, it was definitely time to take a step back, recruit some more units, and continue later on in the day. After that, I was also able to take some spots on a guildmate's castle what's it called? Castel del Monte, CDM. I was able to add a little bit to that at 1.0 rate, which is the usual rate early on before arcs come along. So yeah, was able to get some blueprints and do some recurrent quests through that. The daily challenge today was quite easy. I needed to pay some supplies, contribute 8 forge points to a great building, which I just did, finish 13 5-minute productions, which are really quick, and win 1 continent sector map by fighting, which I already did. So I completed that quest easily, though the reward of a mass sulfate kit wasn't exactly what I was hoping for, but it might come in handy later on, so who knows. Anyways, later on in the day I continued taking Sturmhohen Sectors. First one was quite easy, took a lot of damage, but in the end only lost 1 unit, which was really nice. The next sector was a bit more work with 8 archers, but by playing again with the attack ranges, I was able to win the fight, only losing 1 unit, and still, I'm really surprised that fighting with my Iron Age units is working this well against early Middle Ages units. So yeah. Fight 3 was much the same story. I used 8 archers again, and while it was a bit tougher, I did survive, only taking 3 losses. I then tried another fight with 4 archers and 4 soldiers, but aborted halfway through after taking 2 losses because I didn't think I could win it at all. I'm pretty sure if I continued, the enemy would have taken out too many of my units on their next turn, so when it came to my turn again, I wouldn't have had enough units to win. So yeah, a little bit later I did a different remaining Sturmhohen sector with 8 archers. Again, not the easiest fight, but again I made it through, this time with 3 losses. Now, this is where things start getting interesting. As I've mentioned a few times, hinted at, I could actually have started playing Guild Battlegrounds if I unlocked that earlier on. I didn't know, but someone in the guild told me that was possible, and when I learned that, I immediately used my saved up forge points, unlocked the technology, the military tactics technology, and I could finally start doing the Guild Battlegrounds with the main goal of getting some really good rewards. During the guild battlegrounds, I probably could have done some fights, but I decided to do negotiations. Luckily, I was able to look at a lot of different sectors, so I was able to find easy negotiations. So in the end, I negotiated 5 encounters, spending a total of around 35 goods, which definitely not for free, but again, not that much. It's around half of what I produced per day, so that was quite alright. And the rewards I got were really, really great. I was really lucky there. You might remember early on when I got 5 units from a daily challenge. I really wanted ballista, but I got horses. Well, this time I got 5 ballista from my very first negotiation. And with those, as you'll see in a moment, I'm able to do quite a bit of fights on the continent map with bonus quests. So yeah, I also got 2 forge points a little bit later on, which is also nice, but the ballista is definitely the main reward I got. So yeah, with the 5 ballista, I could start fighting the bonus provinces. They are really good at getting the enemy units low on the first wave so that I can take down as many as possible while their attack bonuses are low. So with the 5 ballista combined with 3 archers, the fight was still tough, but I was able to win the first fight, only losing an archer. As you can see, I was able to move my ballista out of the way so that the enemy units, when they had to attack me, they attacked my archers instead. So I don't mind losing the archers, but I definitely don't want to lose the ballista. So yeah, after that I actually also was able to do 1 fight in GBG with the ballista, but I do still think it was worth negotiating early on, partly because I don't have a lot of units, so I don't want to damage those or even lose them, and also because of the castle system. I also got quite a lot of points for those 5 negotiations I did. So my plan going forward is probably to try to negotiate 5 sectors each day. Hopefully be able to do that cheaply, get castle points from 5 negotiations, as well as hopefully some more units from guild battlegrounds. And then again, during the course of the day, I got enough medals for another expansion without really realizing, so eventually when I did realize, I placed that down as well. Then finally, before ending the day, I did 2 more Galgenschlucht sectors, the bonus sectors. And it's the same idea as before, take down as many of the enemy units to 1 hit remaining before you start taking them all out. I also made sure to sacrifice my archers again so that I could save the ballista for other fights. I can easily recruit more archers, but getting more ballista is not that easy. The next fight was more of the same, but I took a small chance that the barbarians at the end would attack my wounded archer before taking down a ballista. Luckily that worked, they did, and I didn't lose a ballista. I lost some health on some, but it was the end of the day, I wouldn't have continued anyways, so that was quite alright. So yeah, I closed off the day and the week by picking up 5 forge points from a bonus quest, which should come in handy in the next week. Alright, that has been my recap of week number 1. This went on longer than I expected, to be honest, but I do hope you found this interesting. This has been really fun for me to make. I really hope you enjoy this series and the idea behind it. It is also quite more time consuming for me personally to make these, so if you liked it, please leave a like and a comment. It really helps me out, helps a lot with the YouTube algorithm. Also, if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure to subscribe. I will try to upload these every week, most likely every Monday if I am able to do that. So yeah, before I end, I would like to thank my Patreons. I would like to thank Homestar, Merrick B, PQ the Goat, Artler, Sabathiel, Hugo Count von Count, Rocco, Henrik der Erklärbär, and Mattia. Thank you all very much for your support. If you want to support me as well, the link is in the description. Thank you very much for watching, take care, and I will see you in the future.